Hello, AP Gov. It's Mr. Chazen, and here is today's lesson. And it's actually a review because we folks are pretty much done with the executive branch. And so I wanted to go over and just give a quick review of everything that we've gone over in this discombobulated unit and just sort of tie everything together. We first started off with the general facts and went over things like what are the requirements to be President of the United States, what are the terms of office, and how has that changed since the 22nd Amendment. You need to definitely know the checks on the legislative branch and the judicial branch. This is totally important and will totally be focused on by the AP Gov test. For powers, you need to know both the 7 formal powers and the 4 informal powers. These are things that we spend a lot of time on, and you will definitely need to know. And then there was a lot of vocabulary that we went over that were connected. So, for instance, recess appointments for the power of appointment, the line item veto. We also had a couple court cases. We had U.S. versus Nixon for executive privilege. So you need to go over and review that. Just a lot of stuff with the powers section. From there, we went on to do Federalist number 70. For that, you really just need to know that the 4 criteria for a strong president was unity, meaning let's have 1 president, not 3, which is what the Anti-Federalists wanted. Give the president a good amount of power. Give them a duration where long enough where they can actually get stuff done, and then finally give them a salary, because there was talk that the president would do it for voluntary reasons, and they kind of poo-pooed that. We then got into how we elect the president, and the whole process, remember, is basically a 2-part process. You have primaries and caucuses, which are used to allow the parties to take all of the people who are running for president and whittle it down to 1 Democratic and 1 Republican candidate. And we went over things like open primaries versus closed primaries. We went over what a caucus is and how a caucus is different than a primary. So you need to review all of that material and get that situated and okayed. And with that, there's also a couple key vocabulary terms like front loading, which you'll need to know. And then once the candidates are chosen for the Republicans and the Democrats, it then goes to the general election, and we have to then understand how the Electoral College works. From there, basically you need to know how each state gets electoral votes. What's that formula? Which is representatives versus senators. That gives every state the number of electoral votes. So Missouri has 8 representatives and 2 senators, which gives it 10 electoral votes total. Once we then know what the electoral votes are, then you have to wait for election day. And on election day, whichever candidate wins the popular vote in the presidential election gets all of the electoral votes. And so that's called winner take all. And that's something that we went over and reviewed as well. You also need to know what a faithless elector is. You need to know how many electoral votes the president needs. And then you also need to know how the winner-take-all system really messes over third-party candidates, and how the winner-take-all really then focuses candidates to just hang out in the swing states versus going to the very liberal or very conservative states. Once we finished how to run for president, we then took a look at the campaign finance laws that surround how you run. And really, the whole campaign finance section is broken up into 3 little mini parts. You need to know the 2 laws, the 2 Supreme Court cases, and the 2 sets of loopholes. So for the laws, you need to know the 5 things that FICA did. And so make sure you go over those notes and review those. And then you need to know what the BCRA or McCain-Feingold did, and there were 3 things for that. So make sure you have those in your notes, make sure you have that on your vocabulary, and that you know those. Then we went over 2 Supreme Court cases. One was Buckley versus Vallejo, which was challenging aspects of FICA, and Then we had Citizens United versus the FEC, which was challenging things about the BCRA. For Citizens United, that is the one that AP is going to question you on or potentially question you on. That is one of the required cases that you'll need to know. And really, for that one, the outcome is the really important thing, which is that it ruled that corporations and unions, which had been previously barred from donating any money to campaigns, can now spend unlimited amounts of money on campaigns as long as they do it through issue ads. So that's a huge reversal, and why you have people like the Koch brothers and George Soros using their corporations in order to help fund political candidacies. That all came about because of Citizens United. And then we took a look at the two kinds of loopholes that came about from FICA. We had soft money, which is where they tried to go around those donations limits by donating to state parties and then having the state parties funnel it up. And then after McCain-Feingold, we had the development of three different kinds of groups: 501c groups, 527 groups, and super PACs. All of those can donate unlimited amounts of money, but they can only donate to issue ads. And what's the difference between an issue ad and a regular commercial? Remember, an issue ad is anything that does not have, "Hi, I'm so-and-so and I approve this message." That is a candidate ad. Everything else is an issue ad. And the issue ads are supposed to only deal with, as you guessed it, issues and not actual candidates. And then we ended the executive branch by taking a look at the bureaucracy. And for the bureaucracy, these are all of the agencies that work underneath the president that basically help enforce the laws and basically help the president do what the president does. There are 5 organizations that you're going to need to know. The EOP, these are, again, the people who work with the president on an everyday basis and his closest advisors. You have the 15 cabinet departments. You need to know what their role is, and then you need to know an example or two of an actual cabinet department. And then independent executive agencies, what is their role? What are some examples? What's a regulatory agency? What's its role? And what are some examples? And what kind of power does it have that's different from any other agency or organization in the government? And then finally, you have government corporations, businesses run by the government for various reasons, such as Amtrak and the post office. We then wrapped up the bureaucracy by taking a look at the Iron Triangle, which was a relationship between bureaucracies, congressional committees, and interest groups. And because their relationships are so strong, we basically call it an iron triangle because it's very hard to break up. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There's a quick review of the executive branch. As you go through these and you're trying to plug in vocabulary to each of these little extra points and see where they connect. If you have any questions, email me, or definitely give me those questions on the video online conference at 1 o'clock. Which I'll be doing this Monday, hopefully outside and enjoying the weather again. And then we are looking at an online quiz, probably Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm going to make the vocabulary due Wednesday, so you need to email me those either through Quizlet, or if you're doing it on a Google Doc or on a Microsoft Word doc. But it needs to be turned in online so that I can get those grades in. And then I'm going to give you an online quiz. I'm going to trust you not to use your notes. It's not going to be a very big quiz, but I'm going to trust you just to really test your knowledge. So please, please, please use some good morals and whatnot, and try to do it without any help whatsoever. Enjoy yourselves. I'll talk to you later.